Well, here we go. Rouser Radio, coming out of Lewes in East Sussex. That is Lewes, East Sussex, the UK. Because, strangely enough, Lewes in Delaware is also in a region called East Sussex. We were named after us. What a surprise. Well, there we go. I think we're ready to go, and we are going. We were only 4 minutes late this morning. It's that puff up the stairs to the studio gets me every time. However, got my breath back, and now I can have a little chat to you, as indeed is our wont on Rouser Radio in the morning. And we actually punch a button, and you can listen to us throughout the day if you're so inclined. Well, we'll have to see if we just punch it into the system a little bit more often. But once again, as I was just saying on television, our audience is slowly growing, so we're beginning to have an influence. We're getting feedback. We're getting people talking to us and talking about the things that we're talking about and expressing their concerns, which is just exactly why we're here. Rouser Radio, by the way, the word rouser, R-O-W-S-E-R, is, and I learned this from John Eccles, who was a journalist for a long time here for the Sussex Express. And it's something of a legend in his own way. Wherever you happened to be, there was Eccles, and he was always reporting on all sorts of things, and God bless him, now that he's retired, he is sadly missed because there is no really dedicated local reporter looking after things. Although I did notice that the BBC have got somebody who is covering councils, and that's encouraging in itself. And I also know that the BBC had a programme of funding for local organisations to make sure that they could cover local councils. There is quite a concern amongst the media at the fact that they don't have the funds to dedicate somebody specifically to various towns and councils. The BBC, of course, are able to draw up a pot of money from us with our licence fee and with the money given to them by the government, and that's a sensible way of spending some of it. So I'm glad to see, and I think, because I've only seen him on Facebook, and I think that he is covering the councils very religiously. And in fact, come the election on May the 2nd, after that, we are talking to a number of people, and we hope that what will happen is that we will be able to take it in turns, various groups here, to cover council sessions and be able to ask the questions that need to be asked, because they certainly do need to be asked. I will never tire of telling you for the moment that a Harvard survey showed, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, that the less local media you have, the more inefficient the local government becomes and the costlier it becomes. In other words, the rates go up. What you pay in your council tax goes up. So we're very aware of it, and it looks as if a lot of other people are aware of it. I can't be specific, but I am told by those people who keep an eye on such things and are in the system that a considerable change is on the way. And when I can buttonhole on some occasion a local politician, I'll ask them whether they've heard anything about it. The chances are that they'll say no, because perhaps they don't want to break confidences. But I suspect that Boris Johnson's speech about a root and branch change in the governance of this country, how it operates, how we collect taxes, how we spend them, and how we allow people like us to examine closely what's going on, I think that probably is done on the basis that he is well aware that change is in the air, and got in ahead of time so that he could score a few political points, at the same time look a little later on down the line as if he'd thought this out properly and what he thought was being implemented. Politicians do that sort of thing. Anyway, here we are this morning, and I would like to just mention that we are local but not parochial. So I'm going to talk about the Philippines just for a moment, because there, the journalist Maria Ressa, who used to work for CNN, she's a very seasoned journalist and actually has won an award, or many awards. She was actually named as a Journalist of the Year by by Time magazine at one stage. So she's no spring chicken, but she's got all the background and experience that one could ask of a good journalist, and she has been thrown into jail for cyber libel. Now, cyber libel is sort of interesting because I suppose people can interpret things any way they want, but she is a web-based operation, and she is very critical of the president and the government of the Philippines, so they threw her into the jug, and they've charged her with cyber libel. Now, this is one area that we do have to be careful about. Generally speaking, on the web, there are no rules and regulations. We're not subject to Ofcom or any other regulator in the United Kingdom, or for that matter, really, I suppose, anywhere in the world. We are free spirits. But that doesn't mean to say that we can break the law of the land. And one of the laws that we have to watch out for is libel. We cannot libel somebody. And that basically is selling porky pies about somebody for effect. If you make a criticism, you must be able to back it up with evidence, should you be challenged. So we're very careful about that. But some of the things we say are quite outrageous, and the fact is that generally speaking, they are not libelous. We are reflecting what people are either thinking, doing, or that there is evidence for. She does the same thing, but she's been thrown into the jug. The president says, "Not me, Gov." No. I'm not throwing journalists into prison. I didn't ask for her to go into prison. But fairly independent sources say that in the Philippines, the president may not get his hands dirty as such, but that his supporters are giving the press a bad time and harassing them. And believe me, when that sort of thing starts, then it is time for change. However, I'm not saying that the Philippines should change. That's their business. They are a sovereign nation, and they can govern and behave as they see fit. All I would say is, let's hope that sort of behaviour does not come here, at least not overtly. Oh, you think that we don't get pressures? Oh, we get pressures, all right. But it's like, I understand that quite often in torture chambers they hit people with a towel because it doesn't leave a mark, but it bloody stings. and in some ways, the way that pressure is put on us is it doesn't leave a mark. We couldn't prove that we've been pressured, but it stings. And so we're not totally free of influence in this country. And I suppose, really, that the politicians see it as a game. All right, let's. Why don't we do a bit of music? I put up some new stuff yesterday, and for some reason it doesn't show properly. That's something I'm going to have to sort out. But there is one here that's called Church by a chap called Benjamin Banger. I have no idea what it sounds like, but why don't you join me and let's listen together and see what church is all about.
We got this shit knocking, bro.
If that didn't get you out of bed, nothing will. Benjamin Banger and Church. Although I must confess the title stuns me a wee bit. I'm not quite sure that has to do with church, but perhaps it's his sense of humour, saying, hey, churches can be very stuffy. Listen to this. Who knows? But anyway, I thought that was quite a lively bit, and with him tuning in to make a little crack here and there, why not? Perhaps we might play that again one morning. We certainly have plenty to choose from, but that is good fun, I think. Okay, let's leave the fact that journalism is under threat and under attack, and it is, and it always is. I reported, I haven't got the latest figure, but towards October, November last year, there had been 60 journalists who had died in pursuit of their professional trade, and not all of them on the front line. Of course, if you go to places like Somalia, if you go to places like Syria, you have to take your life in your hands. I haven't really been in that sort of danger, but I haven't worked on the front line. I worked extensively in Northern Ireland. I worked in Kosovo. I've worked in across the Balkans, and I've worked in Africa. Where I was in a place called Damaturu, which is in the central north east of the country, and is Sharia law. It's interesting living under Sharia law, believe me, is it interesting. But I wouldn't want to do it forever. On my last day there, on the last time I was there, the Boko Haram was on the march. It was burning churches, particularly Christian churches, on its way to Damaturu, and eventually it did take over Damaturu, although I understand that the army has got it out now. But my African colleagues came to me and said, Mr. Keith, they're coming this way. They're only 50 miles away, and you're the only white man within 2,000 square miles. We would suggest to you that we leave a little early today, which is what we did. And we got out without too much incident. Although, one of the things that you have to watch in some African countries is bandits. What they do is they steal police uniforms and they set up roadblocks and they stop unwary travellers and relieve them of whatever goods they've got. I mean, in Nigeria, for instance, in Abuja, the airport is 5 or 6 miles out of town, perhaps a little bit more. And the first time that I went there, I got into a jeep, and there's a driver and a man sitting next to him who had got an AK-57 or whatever those rifles are. Anyway, an AK, and he was guarding us because bandits were known to come out of the woods, the forests between the airport and the centre of Abuja and relieve people who had just got off the plane of some of the goods that they'd managed to smuggle through customs. But